for joining us for our first Chalk Talk of 2026. I'm very, very excited to kick things off with some pretty exciting updates. We took a trip at the beginning of the year. We got to kick off the new year with a little trip between me and Alicia. Alicia, where did we go?
Well, it's so interesting because I just heard someone say IAR and we were in Chicago, which was fantastic.
All right,
So we
sounds
had
good. Go
a,
Bears.
oh, I'm so sorry. Say it again.
No, sounds good. Go Bears.
So we had a, yeah, we had a really wonderful trip. And of course, we have lots of important information to share. But I personally think one of the most important pieces of information to share is that my colleague Vivek had never heard of Portillo's. And I was able to introduce him to Portillo's, and it was wonderful. We got the cheese fries and everything. And I think if anyone has been to Chicago, they know you cannot go to Chicago without going to Portillo's. So it was really fantastic.
And I will add, I was quite embarrassed to have never been to a Portillo's before, but it was really, really good. I loved it.
Really an excellent place. So yeah, we were lucky enough to be able to meet with four of our schools there. We did some in-person trainings where we went really in depth to the point of some of the people who are asking, how can we better support implementation? We have so many ways that we can do it. And one of those ways is to actually do in-person trainings with your teachers. We can do virtual trainings. We also had some really great meetings with the leadership of these schools so we could talk about implementation, strategy, and of course, long-term plan, because none of us are here for just short-term gains. Like, yes, those are really wonderful to see. It's great to celebrate those wins, but we are all in this for the long term. We're in it to see the students consistently progress, improve, gain competence and confidence in these tests, and of course, every aspect of education. So it was so nice to connect. I'm sure you can see the photos here. We had a wonderful time, and not to put anyone on the spot, but one of the schools did get matching tracksuits for their teachers. So just something to think about for your educational goals.
That was insane. I got that whole school spirit. I loved it there. It was really cool. And overall, we got a very, very warm welcome in Illinois. I loved going back into the classroom, and I think the whole environment was a little invigorating, especially for me as a PM. Like, we're always doing usability studies, all these different things. When you talk to teachers, you realize that they do your job much better than you. Like, they really, really know how to listen to people and understand where someone's coming from and like readjust, rephrase. It was just a phenomenal experience overall for me. And the Portillo's was really, really good too. But we're doing a lot of these in-person trainings across the country right now. We have our very own Kelly, who is in Malika Township Schools, working with the Coyotes there today. She took a quick selfie for us. I tried to force her to pop into the meeting and say hi really quick, but she was like, I'm going to be with teachers. Are you crazy? I'm just going to take a picture and just share it. You can tell everybody that I'm there. But we do these pretty regularly now, and I'm very, very excited to be in more schools across the country. I can't wait. In terms of takeaways, actually, let's go back. Alicia, what was your biggest takeaway from Chicago overall?
That's a great question. So, to give a little background for everyone on the call, and I know some people joined a few minutes later than others. So, I'm the director of customer success here at Lumos Learning. The role in itself is not new, but it's new for me with this company. So, I've been working in education, leading customer success teams for the last 5 years. I was with Discovery Education. I've come on board with Lumos just at the end of last year. So, I am still learning alongside a lot of our teachers the intricacies of our platform, how to find what you're looking for, what to do when something doesn't work the way that you thought it would. To do that hands-on with teachers in classrooms was such a gift. It was a gift for me, and hopefully they found it to be a gift too, because we sometimes had the same struggles. We sometimes had the same bright ideas of how to use things. And it was really neat to just see the way that the teachers were conversing with one another, because you'd have one teacher raise a hand and say, well, gosh, in my classroom, we did XYZ and it really didn't work. And before Vivek or I could even say anything, another teacher is like, oh, no, no, no. Here's how we're doing it in our classroom. This is what's working with our students. Do it this way instead. So it just really got those conversations going. And I know, obviously, all of your teachers are talking constantly, but how often do they have that dedicated time to sit down, to talk about a tool, to talk about test prep? It was just a really wonderful time to see everyone come together and say, okay, it is test season. This is a primary focus, and we are in it to win it. And it was so wonderful to see that excitement.
And that makes so much because we want to talk about Stranger Things when on our free time or talk about what we did at home, not about Lumos and how to better our test prep strategy. So I think what you said at the end was very, very true. Having that dedicated time and space made the biggest difference. And I think Overall, for me, especially from like a product perspective, and I think overall as a company as well, some of the learnings that I took away is that we really need to focus on making our UI simpler. We need to, just the way that we have a simple UI for the students and we're making everything super easy for them to understand in terms of what's happening on the state tests, we got to think of ways to make it a little less overwhelming for the teachers and make our guidance a little bit more clear. And I think because I was around so many teachers, the whole thing of real questions, listening closely, that's really where I think our design approach is going to go. So anytime we have an on-site PD, anytime I'm working with teachers directly, or if you see my face anywhere, just know that I'm going to be listening very, very, very closely. Everything you say is feedback that can influence our product. So that open ears is one of the biggest takeaways for me. One Another huge takeaway was clever. I think we did not identify this as a bottleneck. We knew that it was going to be a challenge. Single sign-on for any school, any tool can be a bit of a challenge, but we've noticed that it can be a much larger challenge when a lot of the control or the access controls related to Clever are kept at a district level. So if we need to identify those key members of a team that can provide a school with the required access control to let Lumos even sync data between the school and us as it's a whole thing. And mapping out that process and figuring out who those key individuals are was very cool to do in CPS because it was more like, do you know who this is? Have you heard of this person? And honestly, that's how we got our answer. And I think we need to do more of that. So figuring out who these key people are, that's a huge takeaway for me. And the last one was teacher fatigue. Our teachers are so overworked all across America. This is not something just unique to CPS. And we really need to find ways to make them aware of all of these cool features that we have. I think Ms. Holt is a perfect example. Like she has the workbooks, but she didn't know that it comes with the online component. There are so many people who have that grading assistant, but they don't know that they need to turn it on before they assign something. They don't know how to go in and make sure that it automatically grades things because there's a different set. So we need to make sure that we use calls like these or other training sessions to really, really make people aware of these key features. And this whole on-site thing was a huge, huge lesson for me in terms of what is teacher fatigue and how can we Lumos address it with very, very specific features and where do we include that into our training. So I personally learned a lot.
And for anyone who's listening to what Vivek is sharing and thinking, what is grading assistant? Why don't I know about that? Don't worry, we are going to cover that in just a few minutes.
In terms of what our educators took away, Alicia, do you want to shed some light there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things that was really helpful for us to understand is exactly what he's written here. Environment really shapes learning. So the way that we can impact students when we are in front of them with solid information, especially for anyone who's been on the Lumos platform or even really interacted with our Lumos books, we have designed this to mirror and simulate these state tests exactly. And for a lot of students and a lot of educators, half of the problem is just test anxiety. You know, this looks different than the tests that we take in our classroom. This looks different than the way our teacher normally hands us information. What do you mean I have to drag and drop this answer from here to here? It's multiple choice. I already picked one. I have to be done. No, this is two answer multiple choice. And that's not something that happens as often on written tests. It's a little easier for them to figure out. So giving them an environment where they can ask the questions they need to ask. With our online platform, our AI assistant is helping them throughout the way. It's getting them through the next part of the question and the next part of the question. It's really fostering an environment where they can ask the questions in a safe environment before they get to the actual test. And that way, when they get to the actual test, they have already become experts in this. They already know, okay, I'm seeing this. That means I need to ask myself internally this question. This question is asking this. That means there's two parts. I need to look out for that. And it's really just helping them to form that muscle memory of how these tests work in a safe and comfortable environment with the teachers that they already know and trust, which is fantastic. What we're seeing too for these in-person trainings, we can impact the teachers in the same way. So we become in a way, and believe me, we are not as important as teachers, and I will never claim that we are, but we get to be the teachers to the teachers when we come to these in-person trainings. So we are there to say, this is how this works with Lumos. Here's where you find this, so that when they get to the classroom, when you as teachers get to your classrooms, you're fully prepared to roll this out with your students, and you're not, shuffling around trying to find where things are. We do believe that human connection still matters. And I say this behind a screen, talking to all of you behind screens, and I'm still delighted to see all of you. Like, this is still wonderful. And I do still consider this human connection. But there is something really wonderful when we have those opportunities to be in the actual room with one another. And I know for Lumos specifically, just the way that Vivek and I were kind of bouncing around the room with the teacher questions, and hands are coming up, and we're having snacks, and people are smiling, and people are laughing. I am not going to pretend like test preparation is an exciting and joyful part of your school day, but we can bring some joy to that when we can all get in the same room and we can acknowledge when things are tricky, or we can acknowledge when someone has a great idea. It's just really wonderful to build that human interaction and to kind of get your teachers amped up to take that back to their classrooms with them. Support does accelerate success. So we do have real-time help. There are a number of different features where you can get help during the school day. We have a way that you can chat into our support team. Even if the students are within the test and doing the test and something just seems like it's not working correctly, you can actually report an error directly within our platform. So you can let us know, hey, it looks like the answer is A. It's marking A incorrect. We think A is correct. Please check this out. And we have a team who's dedicated to making sure that those problems are fixed as quickly as possible. So you're actually helping us when you find problems. We are an amazing team. We're a wonderful team. We are not an infallible team. So every once in a while, there's going to be a small issue, and it really helps us when our teachers and our admins can locate that, point us to it, and we'll fix it as quickly as we can. And of course, the better the questions, the more we can help. So we develop a lot of our features from our platform based on feedback that we're getting from educators, because you all are going to know and see things that I am never going to see from my desk over here. You're live within the classroom. You're going through the actual state tests with your students. You're going to know things that we're not going to know. And we deeply, deeply appreciate that feedback. We have teachers and admins emailing us multiple times a day sometimes with what may seem like such a small thing, but it can really lead to a great new feature in our program. So we love your feedback. Please keep giving it to us.
And I think overall, like Alicia summed it up just so well. And the human connection part, I'm just thinking back to us sitting around eating sandwiches and figuring out like test prep for the next year with a bunch of principals and leaders. It was very fun, but also so meaningful because we had a very clear goal in mind. We knew exactly what we wanted to get done. We didn't know how, and it just took a couple sandwiches and a couple Diet Cokes, and we figured everything out. It was very, very cool. And I miss the pre-COVID human connection days where all of that was normal and it wasn't the norm to just throw things on Zoom. But when we think about how intentionally and thoughtfully the systems were built that day, I feel like in that school, we're going to see the teachers be able to use the tool with a lot more ease, and they'll have that freedom to focus on their students and really focus on what actually matters. And I think that's what we're trying to go with these in-person trainings and strategy sessions. We're molding the whole thing right now, but I think with the help of all of our customers, we can figure out what would be the best way to service these schools in a way that makes the children benefit the most out of all of this. While there are so many different benefits of having these in-person trainings, they're available all year round. We'll customize them. You can do them half day, full day. You can get other schools to come in if you want to combine them and share the cost. But the best part is you will get people like Alicia and myself to do crazy things like rollerblade around your school, or do a little jig here and there. But this is a video of Alicia rollerblading through O'Hare International Airport on our way back from this beautiful trip. And I just wanted everybody to enjoy it because I thought it was fantastic for a director of customer success to be able to do all of those things with just like so much grace and point. I am so shocked, stunned, and truly just bowing. What a talent.
We have some fun where we work, and I will gently correct Vivek for anyone who is older as I am. Those are roller skates, not roller blades, because I grew up in the 70s. So
My
yeah,
my sincere apologies.
so we're still friends. We're still friends. And I think what's fun about this too is to point out if we are coming to do an on-site training or if we are just doing a virtual training with your school, we are focused, we are dedicated, but we're going to make sure to have some time to have a little fun too, because we can't get good work done if we are just in head down mode all day, every day. So we promise we will try to bring at least a little levity, no matter how complex your situation is. We are, yes, we are a company, Lumos is a company, but it is made up of some of the most amazing humans I have had the pleasure to work with. And we promise to have a lovely time while we're solving your problems, looking at the challenges you're having within your school, within your district. And Ms. Holt, before some of you hopped on, was talking about where her school is in terms of scores. There's nowhere that you can be that there isn't room to grow. Her school is really seeing some challenges right now with scores. One of the schools that we met with told us that they were on the low end of excellent, and that was not high enough for them. Both of these schools are using Lumos, and both of these schools are going to see results that are going towards what their personal goals are, because it's going to be different for every school.
Yep. And to that end, if anybody in our audience has questions today, now's the time. Please feel free to ask anything that may be on your mind.
Oh, tell me
Yeah.
all about Saturday Academy. I'm so interested.
Okay. So this is actually something big in our district. Our superintendent, any child, all students who have passed NJSLA the year prior or scored a 3, they are required to attend what he calls Saturday Academy. And the goal is to just ensure that they are going to still pass
Yeah.
NJSLA or at least get over the hump, figure out the skill that the student has a gap in or a lack, that's leaving them at that 3.
Yeah, I love that.
So we have a curriculum for it, but my principal, we are a school that is like in status and we have a goal of coming out. So she actually starts earlier. Our district starts it in January, she starts in October. And because of that, she always purchases I have the books upstairs too, but the Luminous Learning. And
Yeah,
there's
that's
some
fantastic.
questions. I don't want to take over your meeting though.
No, I was just so excited. I always like to hear where people are coming in from and how they're using us. So that's really fantastic. Well, my name is Alicia. I'm the director of customer success here at Lumos Learning, and I'm joined by my esteemed colleague. I'll let you introduce yourself.
I am Vivek. I'm a product manager at Lumos Learning.
Awesome.
And by the way, I just wanted to mention this is the purpose of these meetings. You're not taking over anything. The whole point is to have our support team here, make sure that we can answer any of your questions. So, shoot, well, let us know what's on your mind.
Okay, I actually wish I had one of the books in front of me, but the books that we're using, the back of them, or I cannot find an answer key. Do you know what I'm speaking about?
I think so. You must have the student copies.
Yes,
So along with the student copies, usually we require schools to purchase what we call a revised edition or the teacher copy, and that has all of the answers with them.
that's our issue then. So the issue is now I just realized something simple. We are continuously purchasing, and we have tons of student copies of your books. But now I realize we're not actually getting the actual teacher edition. Basically, well, it's not a teacher, but there's a book for the teacher to implement the workbook.
Right, right, exactly.
Got it.
And did you say your school is using the online component as well, or just the printed workbooks?
We don't use the online component, just print the printed workbooks currently.
Okay, cool. So we could definitely set up another time to talk about that online component because from the sound of it, you already have the workbooks and that comes with the digital. You don't need to pay more. You already paid for it. So we could totally have a quick conversation, talk about what kind of technology is in your school. Like if all the kids have Chromebooks, we
We do.
could then we could just get them to take an actual simulation of the state test where all the buttons are going to look exactly like they would on the NJSLA. They're going to be tested on exactly what is going to be in terms of standards and the rigor of the questions. Everything's going to look exactly the same, including the format. So let's get on a call maybe tomorrow, early next week, and I can show you how to set up the entire account, how to make sure every student has their own practice test simulation.
I would love that. And is that all that would come with that digital component for now? The practice simulation?
So there would be some intervention as well. You would get about 5 to 10 questions per standard based on the student's performance that you could answer within the online platform. But the beauty of the online is once you take a practice test, you're going to have so much data, right? And the teacher can then pinpoint a particular standard to work on with every student. So they can say, all right, based on practice test one, 10 students did really bad in the first standard. So let's open up pages 1 to 5 in the workbook and have only these 5 students work on those. Let the other 5 students work on a different standard because that's where
I
they
love
need
it. I love it. Well,
help.
I'm sorry. You're like speaking our language here.
Oh, I
So I
love
love
that.
that because we're noticing. I mean, if I'm very transparent. We're in Newark. Our ELA scores for NJSLA was just 18%. We've done a steady
Gotcha.
3% climb, but I want more than that. And so
Yeah,
what
of
we're
course.
really pushing here is small group instruction, and that's sort of what you're speaking to, like
No, we got your
identifying.
back there for
Yeah,
sure.
okay,
Yep.
I'm in love. So I don't have to stay today, but but I want to definitely come back. So how do I schedule with you for us to do like a online?
Yeah, do you mind popping your email into the chat here? And then
Uh,
somebody from my team is going to send you an email where you could set up a quick demo session with somebody on our team. They can show you how the tool works. Or since you already have all the workbooks, maybe we could just get into like an implementation call, but we'll figure it out. We'll send you an email and then think about what the next best step, what the best next step would be. I just switched the words there.
Thank you. I want to get caught. Are there other people on to talk? Take
No, no,
over.
you're totally fine.
All
And
right, would
thank
it
you
be
everybody
possible
so
for me
much
to
for,
set up a call like that as well? Sorry that my camera's not working, but my name is Terry Davis. I'm a principal here in Matteson, Illinois. And we're diving into IAR prep. And I really just want to learn more about how we can effectively use the platform and, just explicitly understand exactly what my teachers can be doing right now for kids to prepare.
of course, we can definitely get a call set up, just like we asked Ms. Holt. If you could pop your email address into the chat box, then
Okay.
we'll make sure that somebody reaches out to you and we set up a call. But very similar to what I told Ms. Holt,
Okay.
our whole focus is to make sure that all of your students have seen the IAR even before it happened. So regardless of which state you're in, we want to give all
Yes.
students a very similar a simulation of of that state test. Make sure in terms of rigor and format, all students understand what the questions are going to look like. And that's our main goal. And we can talk more about how to implement that when we meet later on this week or next week.
Okay. That sounds good. I mean, if possible, I would love to schedule a call tomorrow, but I know it's at the 11th hour. But yeah,
No,
whenever you all
no, we're
available.
all about flexibility at Lumos, so don't worry about it. Don't feel bad. We'll make time for you. Don't worry.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
No problem. Alrighty then, you can always interrupt us later. But today, Alicia and I wanted to give you a quick, very quick, demonstration of our grading assistant. And overall, just a quick understanding, the grading assistant is to help make it easier for teachers to grade their open-ended and extended constructive response questions. Our AI will review, score, provide personalized feedback to each and every student. And you also have the option to keep the human in the loop. So let's say you want to ask the teacher to approve a score before it goes out or approve feedback before it goes out. You can also do that. This is available to all of our customers as a simple add-on. So as long as you have Step Up or a workbook or anything like that, this is something that you can very quickly add on to your purchase. Now, I stopped sharing my screen so that I could open a teacher portal account. So just to clarify, we are going to be looking at a teacher portal account in just a second. So you should see Jenny Watson at the top. Alicia, can you confirm that's what everybody's
That is
seeing?
what we see.
Okay, great. So I'm going to go to my lessons, which is where I'll see that table of contents with all of the different lessons. And here I'm going to look for a lesson that has some open-ended responses. So here I can see there are 3 out of the total 5 questions. So I'm going to go ahead and assign that to my students. And as I'm doing that, I want to take a moment to pause and check in on the auto grading options. So here under advanced options, Oh, let me move everybody's Zoom faces really quick. Alrighty. If I select yes on auto grade, and then I say show predicted score only, then I will be required to approve that score. If I say auto grade and show scores, then those all of the responses that the student provides will be automatically graded. So I am going to leave the human out of the loop and have things auto graded, and I will assign it to all of the students. Alrighty, now I'm going to stop sharing quickly and go into a student portal so that I can quickly answer that question. Are you seeing a page that says, hello, Sebastian?
Yes, we are.
Awesome. Let me refresh really quick. And Luma here is directing me to take that first practice test. If you see me skip a question or two, please don't be upset. Here I'm going to select the ones that I highlight, and this is one of my favorite, those video questions where you get to watch a quick video and then respond based on what you're seeing there. So the question here says that it was stated by commentators in the video that President Obama had gifts that made his speech at the Democratic convention extremely believable and drew crowds to him. Explain in your own words what those gifts were and how you could tell it impacted the audience. Be sure to use evidence in the video to support your claim. Now, let's quickly go through this and see if okay, cool. So based on the literal few seconds that I could see there, um, President Obama used references to relatable people, such as elderly folks who have extremely high prescription rates. Let's throw in a couple of spelling mistakes. By using relatable stories, the prez is truly trying to connect with people. Okay, so obviously this is not the best answer. I literally watched a couple milliseconds, so we're gonna hope for a bad review from the AI. Gonna hit next over here.